Hey everybody, my name is Paul and welcome back to the live stream lesson. So today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite Bach suites. We're going to be looking at Suite No.3 in C major. And we're going to be taking a look at the Prelude today. So let's get started. Alrighty. So the Prelude is going to be the most important and probably the most often picked choice for auditions or solo pieces and things like that. So something to keep in mind. And also, this is in C major. Also, another disclaimer would be the bowings and fingerings that I'm doing is my personal choice, and all the ones I've developed over time. It's what I've learned, what I've relearned and edited. So take it with a grain of salt. You're more than welcome to change the fingerings and bowings. This is just a recommendation, right? All right. So as usual, let's take a look at it phrase by phrase. So let's get started from the beginning, and we're going to start with a down bow. So from the beginning, let's take a look at it. Immediately we're going to make some edits. So I do double up bow here. And we're going to go into second position. And we're going to go very slowly. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and like that. Alright, so from the beginning once again, ready and continuing on. So I do shift to second position here. And then we stay in position. So this part goes like this. So shift there. Shift back. And then it's just a scale. Right? So the normal scale. I do a different fingering, or different bowing here. So I slur all of that. Right? So like that. And then I slur the first 5 notes like that. We're going to delete that slur. So we're connecting 5 notes together. And then rest of the sequence will be all up bow as well. All on one bow. So we're gonna do that. And then the next bar is the same thing, or same bowing pattern. We're going to do 5 slurred, and then rest of the measure we're going to go all the way up, right? Like that. So let me quickly jot that down. So like that, and then up, and then rest of the measure will be like that. All right, so same thing we're gonna do. Down bow here, up bow, wait. Down bow, up bow, down bow, up bow. And here, I'll do 3. 3 slurred. Da, da, da. So we land on this note, right? Alright, let's take a look. So, starting from the bottom. Hey, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it's been a while since I streamed. It's been really crazy at work, but it's good to be back. So, yes, so starting from measure 2. And so we shift there. 5 notes slurred, and then rest of the measure all up bow. Same thing. Here we shift to 3rd position. And then shift back to 1st position. So that's gonna be our very first phrase. So until here. Let me quickly write the fingerings down here. So we're gonna shift to 1st finger. Let's write it down here. 1st, 3rd, 4th. And then we're gonna shift down to 2. So the last sequence, we're gonna shift to 3rd position, stay, up, to land down bow on this sequence, right? Which is a repetition of the very first statement, right? Which is simply a C major scale. But that's the very opening statement of the suite, of the prelude. And it's a pretty solid. I really like to think of pieces in terms of literature, like literal books, how books are laid out, right? Or sentence structure. So you can think of each note as letters, but then each letters, depending on how you combine them, forms a word, right? And then depending on how you combine certain words together, it forms a sentence. And then multiple sentences create a paragraph, and multiple paragraphs create a chapter or something, right? So that's kind of how I like to think of, especially in the suite. That's how I like to structure the piece. So this whole first section is basically just C major, right? So basically it's just a bunch of scales going up, right? And in C major. And after the yellow phrase, we're gonna start doing a little bit of harmonic variations, right? So let's continue on. Let's make it light blue. I'm gonna mark it the same note, the C, and you'll see why as to why I'm marking it that. So something to note about here is a bunch of sequences. Yeah. And what I mean by sequences is, you know what a sequence is, right? It's a bunch of phrases. So if we take a look at the light blue, we're looking at the light blue. We end on the C. And we're gonna start the next section in down bow. So it's a double down. So down. So 1-1 in order to reach for that E. And then we're gonna slur these two. So this measure goes like this. Shift. And then shift back to the second finger on that C. And like that. So we're gonna shift, we're gonna slur the body, da-dee, the string crossings. Shift back to 2. And then 3. The 1, 2, 4, 2, 3. And then like that. Open 1, 2, 1, 1. So that is going to be our pattern, at least for the bowing, right? So slur, slur, slur. So that's one sequence, right? It's a one phrase, and then so basically all the bowing is going to be the same, right? We do down, down, up, and then slur, slur, like that. Same thing, slur, slur, down, down, up, slur, 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 and down. Oh. What happened? After the first 2 bars, the fingering's all going to be in the first position. So measure 8. And then we here we go back to the first position. Right, so slur. And then keep on going. that's the end of the sequence. So there's a bunch of sequences, right? You can hear how it relates. So starting from the first light blue, right? So you can see how it's kind of gradually stepping down, right? And one hint of that sequence is basically the first note of each group, right? So the first note of each two measures is basically a scale down, right? If you add the first notes of each measure, it basically does that, right? So if you kind of give an outline of that, it helps a lot for the phrase to make a little bit more sense, right? Because you're helping outline the harmonic structure, right? Right, so C major, and then D major, and then B minor, C major, and then A minor, B minor, and then G. Okay, so when you're practicing this phrase, the light blue, something that's kind of difficult is are these string crossing slurs. Right, so how I usually practice them, just to get my left hand dexterity, is instead of breaking it, separating the notes, I try to do double stops. Of course, on the places that you can do double stops, right? So when you're doing those double stops, it's very helpful if you have both the notes already down in the left hand. So that way you're only worried about the string crossing. So try to practice in double stops. That's gonna help you with the coordination of your left hand, especially doing the bow changes, because if you can do the double stop changes easily, then breaking it apart will be even easier. So that's the idea. So try to do the right. So try to play those string crossing bits as double stops, just to get your left hand solid. Remember to relax your thumb when you're doing double stops, right? You can even float your thumb to the side. So yeah, that's going to be the light blue phrase. So let's move on to the next section. So same thing. Bach really likes to have the same note for a ending of the phrase as well as the beginning of a phrase, right? So right, you can end it there, but the phrase, the note also acts as the beginning of the next phrase, right? So that's something that I've always found interesting about Bach, especially how to play it, right, and interpret that sensation. It's kind of hard to explain. First, let's go through all the fingerings and all that, and we can discuss about it later. So the purple section is basically a big ol' transition. So up bow, we're gonna shift there, extension, fourth finger, and we're going to be modulating here harmonically. First finger, 2, 4. Right, we're going to be shifting to the D string there. And it's going to be, everything's going to be slurred. So, oops, up bow. We're gonna do up bow here, down bow here, and then up bow here. So this whole section is gonna be a G major, right? So just keep that in mind. We're in G major now. Starting from D. And then here, shift to third position on the D string. And then to the second purple mark. So here, we're also going to be doing a different type of sequence, right? So let me mark that out. And once again, it's going to be in 2-bar phrases. Alright, so let me show you what I mean. So let's ignore the bowings for now. Let's just take a look at the notes. So starting from the second purple mark. And then measure 16. Right, so you can kind of already hear it. That we do arpeggio, and then a scale, right? And then same thing, arpeggio, scale, arpeggio, scale, and then we land on the sequence, or land on a different phrase. I guess we can go until there. Alright, so if we break it down even further, we can see that if we take a look at the notes, though the first arpeggio is spelling out A dominant, right? So let's write that down. A dominant, A7. So if we remember our theory, dominant chords always tend to resolve to its tonic, right? So if we, so tonic meaning it's first degree, and dominant it's fifth degree, right? So A5, G4, F sharp, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, right? So it should resolve to D chord of some kind, right? And if we take a look at the next measure, measure 16, it does indeed land on a D minor. Right? So he is following the harmonic resolutions that is marked by dominant tonic relations, right? So, and then if you take a look at the next phrase, that's going to be an E dominant, right? E dominant. So let's write E dominant. So E is going to be a fifth of A of some kind. In this case, we're going to resolve into A minor, like so, here, on the next part. So, chord-wise, this section, right, we, from G major into A dominant to D minor, and then D minor into E dominant to into A minor. So that's going to be quite the what is it? Quite the modulation. And here it actually does something interesting. Instead of, so A minor also is going to share a lot of the same notes as F major, right? So F major is F, F, A, C, and A major, or A minor is A, C, E, right? So it kind of falls into the same chord color, and you can see that it actually marks out the F natural later, right? And then it resolves to F natural here. So we can say that the sequence is kind of dying down like this. Like that. And here, 2, like that. All right. So the bowing is going to be kind of different than what's written. So it's gonna be similar to the beginning. So I do 5 notes slurred, and then rest of the measure is slurred, like that. Like that. Okay. And then we get to the normal part. Okay. As far as the fingerings go, it's gonna be regular first position fingerings. So. Down, slur, E dominant. So here is where it gets kind of ambiguous, right? Right, so it's spelling out the same notes as A minor and F major, so that's the ambiguous part about this. And here, let's just follow the note. So kind of tricky here. 1. So we land on 4, 1, extension 2, 4, open 1, 2, right? We're still in F, we still have F natural. And then we're gonna shift to 4th position here. Or not 4th position, sorry, 3rd position. And then first finger on this E. 1, 0, 2. Same position. We're gonna drop down to first position. 1, 4, 1, 3, and remember that this is a sharp, right? Coming from that. And 4 till here. So let's go until there. That's going to be end of our purple phrase for real. And it'll be the start of the next section. Alright, so if we take a look from measure 19, so we go from F. We're gonna follow the bowing. So and then the next measure as well, we're gonna follow the bowing for the most part. So I do slur these 3 notes. So and then for that C, you're gonna have to squish it, right? Well, so technically you're squishing your hand, but you're also, you let go to do to that double stop position, right? So 4, 1, 3, 4, like that. So that part is a little bit tricky. Let me circle this part. So the last bit. Separate. And with that A, we're going to land on the second position, but you can always tune with the open A, like that. All right. So the purple phrase is quite difficult as far as the, not difficult in harmonic sense, but it's very uncomfortable for your hands because you're doing extension, closing, extension, closing, extension, closing. so it gets tiring for your hands. So for sake of reviewing this section, let me write a couple things down. Down, up, up. All right. So let's take a look at the purple phrase together. Slightly under tempo, right? Da dee da dee da dee da dee dum. So slur, third position, back, A dominant, D minor, E dominant, A minor, and then F major. All right, so the harmony here becomes difficult as well. Well, not difficult. Basically, it goes back to E dominant, but E dominant, that's right up top. So it goes to E dominant. And I'm going to write jazz notation here because it's the only thing that makes sense notation-wise, or chord notation-wise. And basically, I'm going to do flat 9. So what that means is, so beyond the 7th in jazz, we're going to be playing intervals above the octave, right? So flat 9 in this case would be octave and then minor second, right? So with the F natural, right? So the reason why I say that is because we have that diminished sound there, and he's adding that F to make that into a harmonic minor, basically, right? A harmonic minor, but basically he's doing that. He's kind of doing a long transition utilizing E dominant, right? Because we're still in dominant. So this whole section is basically E dominant with a flat 9 to just make a more richer dominant sound, especially catered to resolving to minor, which is going to be what it's going to do in the next section. All right, so let's keep on going. So we're going to go with green now. So here, this is probably one of the coolest parts. So we're gonna start down bow, and then half position, and then the second A is going to be open A. So keep that. So that's going to be one measure, and then when you play this open A, we're going to shift back to first position, 2. So. One, one. And then we do a different section. Or different sequence, excuse me. It goes to A diminished there, right? So goes to A diminished, A minor, to E dominant, back to A minor right there. So those are pretty quick harmonic changes that Bach does, but it's done very sparsely, right? He's only changing like 1 or 2 notes per measure. And then same thing for the next measure. We're gonna do open 3, 4, extension 1, open 3, 4, 1, 4. So extension, and then extension again, and then half position to land here, half position for that D sharp. 3, open 3, 4, same thing, extension. 1, open 2, and yes, we are going to slur this. 1, extension 4, 1, 2, and then we go into another sequence here. Alright, so if we start from measure 24, so 25, 26, then we go to a different section here. Let's make it a dark blue. Regular blue, I guess. So here is a different form of arpeggios that we're doing, right? So I'm gonna play through the green section one more time. Here it's pretty straightforward as far as the bowing and the fingering goes. Just remember to keep your bow when you're doing string crossing. You're trying to use your wrist instead of using your entire arm, right, to cross the finger or to cross the string. Like here. Just kind of make small circular motions with your wrist and hand. It's gonna be enough to clear the strings, right, across. Section. And the blue section, let's just play through it. it's pretty straightforward. Ignore the bowings if there is any slurs. Let's just do. Let's figure out the notes and the chords and see why it's really cool. So, starting from the blue. So let's take a look at the notes. So here in the very beginning, we have so in the beginning we have the oh so famous A minor, because we have the notes A, C, and E, right? So the first two measures, we're staying in A minor, same notes. And then on the second time we do it, we change the very last note. We just play F natural. Which is kind of a sneaky way of going into G major. So we have the next bar, which is so if you take the notes of that, D, B, G, right? G, B, D. That's going to be G major. Just straight G triad. But then in the second measure of that, he adds that F natural, which turns it into a G dominant, right? So G dominant, and G dominant should resolve to its tonic, which is going to be C major, which he does. Right? So here, E, C, E, G, it's going to be C major. Kinda hinting at going into a C dominant sound because C dominant contains that F or that B flat, right? And you can see that in the next measure. When he goes into the next in measure, what is it, 33? It resolves to F major. So here, so in the first go through, he's kind of hinting at, he's playing C triad, but then here he's hinting at the dominant. Interestingly enough, he's just stacking thirds up here, right? So and then we go to F major. Or it should be, oh, not F major. Yeah, well, it's F major. But it's also modulating very, very quickly here. So every chord change is going to be a change in harmonic sound. But I think it'll make sense if we go through it. So let's play through it slowly, bow separate. The blue section, measure 27. 1 E and ready and major. And we arrive to that section. Okie dokie. So, that's a lot to cover. Let me just play, write the bowings that I do for the blue section. Four slurred, separate. Four, two, one, and then open string. 4, open, 2, 0. Stay in position. Everything, we're going to stay in position. Something to note here is these moving notes. So, with the bowing, that I do, it's just slurring, right? So 4 slurred, and then separate. So, I feel like I'm in. Alright, so that's going to be how the blue phrase goes. Something to mind here is simply just bow crossing, right? Try to be very minimal in the string crossing. Don't overdo the string crossing. Try to keep your vertical movements as small as possible. And use your wrist, right? Be very flexible in the wrist. Open up with your elbow, your forearm in the bow arm. Alrighty. So that's going to be the first page. Let me just play through the first page, just so you guys have an idea what it sounds like. All right, starting from the top. Ready? Alright. So, the piece gets way intense after that part. So, let's continue on. Let's make it red. First, let's take a look at the notes, ignoring the bowing. So, starting from red. Goes to let's go until there. So, as you can hear, this is bunch of sequences in terms of chords. And I think for us, it'll be easier if we write the chord names. So we start off with C major. And also I'm doing a different bowing. I'm doing groups of 4 and then separating the last bits. So here's what I mean. And then separate these guys. So first chord is pretty simple, C major. Go to the second chord right there, right? Okay. Alright, so the next chord is going to be, if we take a look at the notes, it'll be A minor, right? So let's write that A minor, and then we're going to slur the 4 notes together. And then here, let's continue on. So if we take a look at the notes, we have D, A, and F, which is going to spell out D minor, right? So here is D minor. And here, we're going to shift down to second position here. So, if we take a look from A minor, and then separate D minor. And then we go shift down to C here. And then next phrase is going to be B minor, which is going to be 1, 1, and 2. And same bowing, we're gonna do down, up, separate. 1, 4, 2, 1, right? F sharp, we stay the same with the F sharp. Stay in position. 1, 1, 3. 1, 4, 3, 1. All right, so here, let's talk about the chords real quick. So here we have B, F sharp, D, which will be B minor. And then the next bar we have E, F, G, which will be E minor. Next bar we have C, G, E, which is C major. And then here we have F, C, A, which is going to be F major. And then here is D, A, F once again, which is going to be D minor. All right. So if we take a look once again, so it's going to be measure 40, second page. E minor, and then so shift down. So we shift to first position very briefly and then shift again back to third position. Well, that's a big 0. So open string, right? While we do the open string, we shift. Stay in position. And then here we shift to fourth position. So 3, 1, 4, 3. Let's change the bowing quickly. It's going to be 4 slurred, 4 slurred, 4 slurred, like that. Shift to fourth position. D minor. We get to here, which is going to be our next big section that we have to take a look at. So this is a very important way to think about the notes. As I said before, we are structuring each note into like each letters into words and words into sentences and sentences into phrases, right? So this is a perfect example of that. So we have here you can hear the chord progression is getting more intense every 2 bars, right? So and then we hold on the G dominant sound, right? And we are going to have constantly the open G string in the next section. All right, so we got to probably one of the hardest sections in the Prelude. You'll soon discover why. So the next section is going to be, let's mark it yellow. So as I said before, we are landing on the G dominant, right? So G dominant eventually will have to resolve into a tonic. And that's going to be something very interesting, how Bach resolves this giant dominant section into the tonic. So first, we have to break it down how to practice this section. It's kind of difficult, but once I break it down for you, I think it'll make sense. Bowing, let's talk about bowing first. We are going to slur 4 notes all the time. So let's just write reminder bowings every measure, just so we know what bowing it starts on. And it goes all the way until here. Alright, so you can see, hopefully you noticed as I was scrolling through, you're always going to be playing open G string. And I'm just going to tell this up front. Your bowing is always going to do just crossing on the string back and forth. So G, D, A, D, like that. So that's the bowing that you're going to be continually utilizing. So it's a good idea to kind of just practice it with open strings only. Feel how you have to utilize your arm, your wrist, and things like that. How I like to think of it is your elbow height is where you normally play D string. And then the movement is going to be depending on, so if you do downstroke first, it's gonna feel a lot different than how you would play the upstrokes. So the key idea is always relax, right? You should try not to feel any tension, especially in the shoulder here. So kind of explore how you have to put weight on the bow. For example, starting off, you're relaxed. As you play that last note of the group of 4, you can already see that I'm kind of putting weight, pronating and kind of squeezing my index finger in order to prepare to do the up bow on that G string, right? So that low G string on the up bow should still have that strength. So here you're tensing up, and as you go back to the frog, you're kind of relaxing your arm, right? Or not arm, but the grip and the tension that you're putting onto the string. So kind of explore what the sensation, the physical sensation of the arm as you're doing it back and forth. Also utilize your fingers, right? So have this part is very good to practice your flexibility in your fingers, in the bow fingers, bow wrist, and the arm, opening up with your forearm, elbow, right? So notice how I'm keeping my elbow at a certain height in order to play with the same amount of strength on the up bows, right? When I'm further out in the upper half. So So first get used to that. You can do different bowing patterns, bowing rhythmic patterns, right? So try to do different variations in rhythm, like short, long, short, long, short, long, long, short, right? So, the more comfortable you get with the bowing, the more attention and focus you can put on the left hand. So, that's my spiel about the bowing on this section. Let's work on our left hand. So, left hand is going to be a little bit tricky, but stay with me. We'll work through it together. So we land on the so we're only going to be focusing on the top two notes because the G is always going to stay G, open G string, right? So here, practice the two notes as double stops. That's how I'm going to do it. So here we have B and F natural. So let me highlight it so y'all can know what I'm talking about. Basically, I'm only playing. Let me just highlight the first of the group like that. So play as double stops first. So this section, practice separately, right? Do the bow exercise, and then after the bow exercise, work on the left hand double stops. So we do 3-2 tritone, and then we resolve that into C and E. So 4 and 1. Stay there, and then here is where it gets a little bit tricky. So 4 thumb, so what I mean by that is, so as you're playing the last C and E, lift your thumb and just slap it down to where the D might be. Right now we're just getting used to the motion, right? So and then so you're gonna play D, and then third finger, and then A with the first finger. So here, you're gonna maintain your thumb on the D, and then we're moving the third finger, the other fingers. So imagine you're playing thumb position, and instead of playing with a third finger here, we're playing with a fourth finger. Right? That's the idea. So we do that. Here, maintain the thumb. So it's 3, right? And then 3, 4. Come back. And then here we're sliding back again. Like that. All right, so let's take a look at how to do these. So once again, thumb on the D. Raise your elbow so you can clear all the notes. Third finger, A. And then here, back. Stay in position, just drop the 4. And here, we're just gonna shift down just our thumb. We're also going to just kind of expand our position. And we're gonna play that minor second. So that's really difficult right there. So take pretty good care of this part, right? So this entire section, that's gonna be a little bit tricky. So slide down, the thumb goes down, and then the third finger goes down after. And then first finger, right? So, and then here, pretty straightforward. Thumb 3, 3, 4. And then the same thing happens here. So it goes like this. So find the A, and then the C. So C to B is going to be only half step, right? And then G, F, and B. Like that. Here, you're going to have to extend your fourth finger a little bit more because it's going to be an open sixth. And then here we finally play open A3 like that. So here, and here the notes are pretty straightforward. And then 2, 1, right? 2, 1, 2, 0. So the really difficult parts are the parts that I circled in yellow. Those are the parts where you're basically moving your thumb around like that. Kind of just staggered movement like that. So it's a little bit uncomfortable, but bear with it. After you practice it like this, it'll be much, 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 much easier to play this section. So if we start from the very beginning of the yellow section here. C and E. And then here, thumb on the D. 3, 4, thumb, slide down, G. And then the next section, this part, slide, open up, and then close. Right, so that's the hard part. And then here is open. open string. And here, measure 56. So there's a couple of options. Well, two options, right? So you can do 1, 2, and then octave with 1, 1. So octave with 1, 1. That's one option, right? I'm gonna write it down. 1, 1. 1, 4, excuse me. So that fingering is really for people with big hands. I really can't reach that octave comfortably, having it sounding in tune. Right? So I actually don't do that fingering, but I have seen many people do that fingering, so I'm gonna put it as an alternative. How I do things is I place the thumb on, so I do basically a thumb position down here. So that way I can just play that octave pretty easily because I know I'm more comfortable in playing octave with thumb and 3 instead of 1 and 4, right? Just practice that jump. Thumb, 3, and then back to 2, 1. And then same thing on this part. So same thing with the C minor. And here I go back to second finger instead of first finger in order to set up for the next section. So here so the very last section is pretty straightforward, right? So bum 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 bum. So it's you stay on the second finger on the C. So it's just basically you're alternating the notes on the D string. So just be aware of that. So that's how I would practice it. It's a very complex section, pretty difficult. Let me play once again, just as a double stop, right? So you can kind of see how to move, how to structure your left hand. So starting from yellow section, all double stops on the top 2 notes. So slide down, extend, thumb on the C here. Slide down your third finger. Slide down again, shift down your third finger. Fourth finger. Open. Prepare for the thumb position. Octave. Slide back down. Minor. Octave. second finger thumb. So it finally resolves to that G. Interestingly, it does all that harmonic motion and it lands back with the G, right? So let me play how this sounds, how it sounds with the bowing and everything, and then we'll continue on. All right. So I'm playing it slowly. So that's how the yellow part goes, the yellow section. Quite difficult. Just practice it slowly. Take your time. Learn the transitions. It's very difficult for your left hand, especially maintaining pressure and not having tension, right, in your shoulder and things like that. So take your time learning it. Take your time incorporating the both sections together, right, the bowing and the left hand. Learn it slowly. Speed is not the issue here. You'll eventually get there. Just try and get the tuning and the positions down as solid as possible. All right, let's move on to the next section. So this next section, we have to transition back to C major, basically. So we went through all that G dominant section, and now we gotta resolve, somehow get back to our home base, which is C major, right? So starts off here. And I actually just add that G as well. So fingering is 1, 4, 2. So, and then shift down to fourth finger up to the first position. And then normal fingering. And then we go to 2, 3, 2, 4, like that. And then here, extension to F natural. And what I do here is I slur these 3 and then slur these 4. So 2, 2, open 4, 2, 1, open 4, 2, 2. Same thing. So basically, we're doing this pattern, right? 2, and then And we just stay in position here. Two, three. So same bowing pattern here. First three and then rest of the bowing. So and then we shift down to second position. Here you can tune all the notes with the open strings, right? And then one here. We're gonna do the bowing how it's written. Well, we're gonna keep that pattern. And then keep on going, right? So here, so B natural, C, G. Second finger, F natural. Hold up. So extend on the last D. So you can play the B flat. Extend again for that A. One, three, 1, 4, 3. And we finally get to our C major. So this is all just kind of like a sequence winding down, right? So so we have a sequence there, another sequence, right? So we have scale, and then the string crossing thingy, and then another scale, string crossing thing, another set of scale, and here we do the string crossing, but we keep on going. Like that. So this entire section, we are winding down back to the C major. Let me play once again the blues section, and then we'll continue on with the coda section, basically. All right, so let's play from measure 60. And then let's do the very last section. We start down bow. Sorry. So. Pretty straightforward, right? Here we start to do a little bit of changing the pattern. So basically, shift to third position, like that. And then 4, open. For extension. So it's gonna keep on going up and up and up. We're gonna keep on continuing with the same bowing. So yeah. Here we go to normal second position, or first position. And then stay in position. And then next, 75, stay in position. 1, 1. So we're doing 1, 1, extension 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1. And then here, 1, 4, 2, open, 3, 4, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so this entire section, green section, open G. So here you can see that every measure we're kind of climbing up, climbing up, climbing up. And then here, we finally end that. And then next measure, so here, it's a fake out, right? We have E flat on the bottom, G, A. So this is going to be 1, open, third finger, open, 1, 0, 2, 1. D, and then C, but then suspension. So he really drags this last section out. So something interesting to note here is the bottom notes, right? So we have F, E, E flat, D, and then C, right? So the green section really is just a final hoorah in C major. So we can see that right. So if we wanna break down the harmony, we just start C to C dominant, F, no, sorry, we go to D, E minor, F major, and then G dominant. Right, so, and then still lands on the G dominant, but with F natural on the bottom, right? Then he returns to the very first statement, right? But instead of starting with a C, he goes to the E, and we're gonna do everything separate here because it's grandiose here, right? So same fingering. 2, 4, 1, 4. And then it goes to E flat, right? So E flat, and then D. So it's G dominant, but with this time it's D on the bottom, and it finally resolves to C. But then it's a fake out. Everything's a fake out. And so we think we can end our prelude here, but we actually can't because it keeps on going. So that's the fingering I do. Or bowing, sorry. And here will be 2, 1. This part is a little bit tricky, and I'll explain when I get there. Alright, so the very, very last green section, let's turn it into a different color, since it's a major fake. Let's turn it into purple. So, C dominant, so C, A, F major, right? So it's 0, 1, 1, 2, 0. And then here we do A flat, right? So we have that, and then for the CE, this whatever's coming up next, what we're going to do is we're basically gonna try and play E with our first finger, like that. So, and third finger for that C. So that's how we're gonna do the trill, the double stop trill. So 2, 3, 1, 0, like that. Or no, sorry. Three, 1, 0, 2. So basically, you twist your hand, you angle your hand, and you try to get that sound. So the easiest way, I think, to practice that is to practice one string at a time. So for example, so try and do each combination, right? So open string on the D string, and then first finger down, same thing, and try with the bottom notes, right? With the B on the top, C on the top, and then do the combination. So that's really hard, to be honest. So the very end section is from the green section, the final C major section. It's quite intense. So let me just quickly play the purple section. So sorry, something I miswrote this bit here. So you're going to play open D all the way through and trill with 1 and 2. So like and then the same bowing as before. Like so. Shift. Yeah. All right. So the very last section is intense. Not to say the least. Basically, the green and purple phrase goes together. So let me just show you how that goes, because it's basically just it's like the final push of the marathon, right? So from the green phrase, 71. can see, it just keeps on going, right? And the chord makes more sense in sequence with a bigger context. All right, so that's gonna be the second half of the Suite No.3 Prelude. Let's play through it. So I'm going to play from here. I'm gonna start from measure 35 because that's a good place to start. All right, measure 35. I'm gonna play it slightly under tempo. Yay! All right, so that's going to be the third, the Prelude from Suite No.3, and I hope the fingering and the bowings and the phrase deconstruction helped you guys a lot. So if you have any questions, as always, feel free to drop any questions in the comments. With the measure number and everything, and hopefully I'll get back to you in time. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I think for this year I'm gonna change up the live stream format a little bit. Instead of going through all of the piece, including all the movements, I think what I'll do is do one movement. For example, right now we did just a prelude of Suite. I think the next video, the next lesson that I'm going to be streaming will be a sonata. I think you guys mentioned Brahms Sonata in E minor, and I really like that one too, and I haven't played that one in a while. So I think that might be a good choice to look at next lesson, is the Brahms E minor Sonata, the first movement. So yeah, I think just playing one movement through each of the different pieces that I want to play, and then cycling through again, like playing through the second movement and all that. I think that's a better format, I believe. We'll see how it works out. Okay? Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Happy practicing. Bye.